right, let's have a look at the last page from that handout. So first we're going to find sine of pi over 3 plus pi over 4. Before we actually compute this, notice that what we're going to be finding is, if we actually add those two angles, you get 7 pi over 12, which is not one of the angles that we've ever had exact values for sine for. So when we do compute this, what we're going to get is an exact value for sine that's new, that we haven't gotten before. So this is going to be a genuinely new thing. So let's go ahead and use the addition formula. So sine of pi over 3 plus pi over 4, we're going to be using this one. So this is sine of the first angle, which is pi over 3, times cosine of the second angle, which is pi over 4, plus cosine of the first angle, it's pi over 3, times sine of the second angle, pi over 4. Okay. And now all of these individual sines and cosines we know because they're all nice angles. So sine of pi over 3 is root 3 over 2. Cosine of pi over 4 is root 2 over 2. Cosine pi over 3 is half. Sine of pi over 4 is root 2 over 2. And so let's see, both of these terms here and here have 4 as their denominator, so we can put this all over 4. And it looks like we're going to get square root of 6 from these first two plus square root of 2. So there we go. There's a new exact value of sine. Sine of 7 pi over 12 is exactly root 6 plus root 2 over 4. Okay, let's try one with cosine. How about cosine of pi over 3 plus pi over 4? So again, pi over 3 plus pi over 4 is 7 pi over 12. So this is a new value for cosine that we didn't know before. So use the addition formula for cosine. It's cosine of the first angle, so cosine pi over 3, times cosine of the second angle, so cosine pi over 4, minus, this time, cosine is sort of weird in that the addition formula for cosine has a minus sign in the middle, times sine of the first angle, pi over 3, times sine of the second angle, pi over 4. And now we can evaluate all of these. Cosine pi over 3 is a half. Cosine pi over 4 is root 2 over 2, minus sine pi over 3 is square root of 3 over 2. And sine of pi over 4 is root 2 over 2. And then putting this all together, we get root 2 minus root 6 over 4. All right. And just as a quick sanity check, it looks like this is going to be less than 0 because the part that we're subtracting, the square root 6, is bigger than this part we started with, the square root 2. And that's right, because if you look at this angle, 7 pi over 12, that's just a little bit bigger than 6 pi over 12, which is pi over 2. So this angle is just barely into the second quadrant, and in the second quadrant, cosine values are negative, so that makes sense.